My name is Debra, but everybody knows me as D, Sista D. I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, Laventil. Um, I migrated to the U.S. in the 70s, but then I went back in the late 70s, went back to school for a bit, and permanently came up here like maybe 1980 to the Boston area. Um, I'm a musician. I play steel pan. Um, it's most of my family plays steel pan, both sides of of my family. I'm also a music producer. I've been producing music since the 80s, actually. I've produced music for R&B group Tavares. I worked with Bobby Brown back in the day. I've done tons of other production, and I also for steel band I do steel band arrangement. I was a arranger for Hartford Steel Symphony for quite a few years and still do sometimes. I used to enter the competitions. There's this big steel pan competition, Panorama, and I won the Boston one that we did each time that we did it, I believe. I think we did 6 of them, and also arranged. I think I may be the first female that has arranged a panorama in the New York Panorama in Brooklyn. So I play pan. I teach steel pan. I teach kids at a program in Cambridge and other places and private lessons. And I also do music production, as you can see here. And I'm also the front person and manager of Dis-N-Dat band. So so Dis-N-Dat band was started myself and Rongo. He's my husband. He's a drummer. Rongo is a world-renowned drummer. He's been on many foundation reggae songs. He's been nominated 4 times for a Grammy with Black Uhuru, and he's played with Sugar Minor, lots of people. We started this band back in 2000, I think. We were both playing with different bands, and then we came together and started this band. It's been a long and not easy journey. It's hard, keeping with a group together, being black people in the music industry, trying to get into certain places, trying to play at certain venues. You may have the sound, but the links is the main thing, and it's really hard for black groups and artists and stuff, because we may not have that financial backing that other people have, and a lot of people get discouraged, but for us we just kept on going, and luckily we're a couple, so it was a little bit easier to and then I had other family members in the band, my son, my daughter, so it's easier to, still hard, but easier. And we've been going for quite a while. We play all over. We've toured. We've backed many major artists. Did many recordings, and we're still going and doing it to this day. Yeah, I've always been around music in the house. Always sing. My grandfathers on both sides had the 2 rival bands in Trinidad, on both sides of my family. So it's like music all around. All my family has been with me. But when I started really, performing, actually I performed on the radio in Trinidad when I was like 4 on this radio show called RTK. I can't remember the song. It was a calypso song. But when I first started actually performing, was with my father. He had a band called Real Steel, and we traveled like all over the U.S., all over we did an international music festival competition, and we came in 2nd place with people from all over the world. That was in in the 80s in Kansas, and like I said, we traveled all over, and I first started playing. That was my first introduction into music, playing with my father. So my first tour, I spent my 14th birthday on the road, on tour, with my father's band. And I've been doing it ever since. Playing steel pan, yeah. And whenever they leave to go do gigs, I would go downstairs and try to play all the stuff that they played. And I really wanted to play. And I asked my father, I was like, Daddy, I want to play. He was like, better ask your mother. So, because, like I said, it's not too many women were into that. And, I mean, there was some, but, not as much as now. And then once my mother said okay, then that was it. And that was it. So let me tell you, speaking like of how bad it was, okay. So Panyards were kind of like, back in Trinidad, like how you would consider steel bands would be rivals, like gangs, but musical gangs. But sometimes it would turn into actual, like, combat between the bands. Like, they were very serious about it. So, like, my uncle, he used to arrange, he was a musician also. He has his master's in harmonization from Berkeley and all that, but he started playing pan in Trinidad. And my grandmother would man him from going, and he was a guy, from going to the Panyard. And what she would do was put a dress on him so he wouldn't go. Uncle Richard would walk into the Panyard with the dress on. And then afterwards he would be hiding up in the tree because my grandmother would be looking for him, like, for licks, like, yeah, because pan, it was considered like, it's always been like a kind of a rebellious thing from the way it started, because how it started was way, way back when they had can brulee. It's cans brulee, but we call it can brulee, the burning of the canes after the harvest. They would have, like, festival, carnival, and they used to have drums at first, and they banned the drums because England was in control then, and they banned the drums because people were giving each other messages and secret hiding through the drums and the singing, so they banned that. And then they went to bamboo. So there's this thing in Trinidad called bamboo tambour. And tambour comes from the word tambour, meaning drum. It's a French word. And they still, to this day, they have tambour bamboo bands. And they cut different sizes of bamboo to get different sounds in like a rhythmic, type of thing. And then after a while, they banned those, because we also do stick fighting in Trinidad, and there was like fighting and stuff like that. So they banned those, and then they started with metal. Tin cans, anything metal that they could make a sound out of. And then as it got to the drum, they realized that you can get different tones. And the first song that was able to be played was Mary Had a Little Lamb. And then, it just grew so much from there, from this oil drum in Trinidad. And now you can play, it's the last instrument that's been invented. It's after World War II. And a lot of it was from the discarded drums on the beach from the World War II. They did, and we made music out of it. And now you can play any type of music on a steel drum, from classical to R&B, anything, any type of thing. But it was all a process, and it all blends in together with the whole carnival and all that, because it all started from that can brulee, and it's the West African rhythms and all that still to this day. It started I think in West Africa it's kaiso, but it's calypso. Trinidad, that's where it comes from, so I was always very fascinated with rhythm. And one of my cousins started the Black Power helped start the Black Power movement in Trinidad in the 60s with Stokely Carmichael and all them, and they had, in their yard, everything was like painted all African colors and drummings. And I was like 4 years old, little girl. I used to be the only little girl in there playing the drums with them. So I started from that, like the drumming thing. But the pan has always been, a real influence in me. just the sound, the feel of the drum, and then moving to America, then I started getting more into American music, like R&B, stuff like that. Reggae was always there, because in all the islands, reggae is always there, dub music, But I started really getting into like R&B music, and then I, blend the two together, and that's what I like. I like to keep my culture, but still add, because I'm living here in the U.S., and this type of environment, I've grown around this music, so I kind of, my style is like a blend of the Caribbean, Afro, American type of music, and as I was saying, for a female back then, it wasn't a lot of females. There's one a woman, she passed away, it was last year, I think, Ursula Tudor in Trinidad. She was one of the first ones, and Pan Cat, the girls, all women steel band, but it was very, very, it was mostly a men's thing, mostly a men's thing, so it was really hard for women to get into, just like in any genre. I think it's a lot harder for a woman to really get into, because I think a lot of the guys still don't really take us seriously, and you have to kind of prove yourself more. Once you have proven yourself, then yeah. But I feel like you have to prove yourself more as a woman, to really, get into the music industry. I just feel like it's harder, for a woman to get into it. But it is what it is.
Now, as a producer, you play other instruments too. What's your journey been through the different instruments that you?
So I play. Before I started playing the steel pan, I was playing clarinet. So I played clarinet, and I played in the big band clarinet. I play keyboards. I play drums, percussion. I can play a little bass guitar, so I kind of move around quite a few things. But, steel pan is my main instrument, and the keyboards is my main tool for, producing music in the studio,
You mentioned your father was a musician. What are some of the works that he's known for?
Oh, okay, so, he's a very, one of the top steel pan players. So probably the biggest thing that he's done is he did the soundtrack for Brother from Another Planet. He did all the music, went through all the scenes and felt all the moods, and okay, this part needs to be tension and that needs to be, so he did that. He's played for the Queen of England. He did Harry Belafonte, Barry Gordy, the first, so in steel pan, there's a thing they call the run, like, my father was the first person to do, to introduce that to steel pan back in the 60s in Trinidad, and he's also a really excellent steel pan arranger, and has won many competitions as an arranger, steel pan. His name is Denzel Boltus, by the way, and everybody knows him as Belt. Yeah.
What was that like? Did you get to observe and see the process of him making the soundtrack? For the
some of it, like they would tell him like, okay, so this scene is going to be really dramatic, or this scene is going to be sad, and then he would have to like come up with something. And so I used to always watch my father. Like I would be sitting I would always he was kind of like, I guess my music. That's one of my top inspirations, because he's the first person that I gigged with. He basically showed me the ropes, and I was always just be amazed and watching him play, and just want to do all the things that he did, and was always bragging about my father and stuff in school. So he was a really big inspiration to me, definitely. Yeah.
Who did you along the journey get inspired by other women performers, and if so, who were some of your inspiration from that side?
This is not steel pan, but because I also play percussion. Sheila E. So in high school, my nickname was Sheila E. And people that went to high school, they was with me. They know, like, there was this one show that we did. I had a band in high school, and we did like R&B music, and I would play the saxophone. We'd always pick the Sheila E. and the Prince songs, and so Sheila E., like, her percussion, like her drumming, like, whoa, she's just like top inspiration for me. So give me a backstory of just the two of us, Grover, Washington. A lot of the steel pan, the percussion, is from my little village in Trinidad, where a lot of the innovations in steel pan come from Laventille. If you ever hear a song, The Man with the Hammer, where the man with the hammer gone? So many innovations. That was my godfather. So all that came from there. And he's like another great inspiration for me. Rudolph Charles, this Desperados is the name of the band. There's still, and there's like the New York version of the Desperados, but we all come from that same small village in Trinidad, in Laventille, and we're very proud of a lot of the innovations in steel pan today came from there. Yeah.
What is black music to you? And how do you define black music?
Black music to me comes from in here. Because to me, anywhere I see I've played in like maybe 20 different countries all over the world. And I could feel the music of black people when I can instantly fall in. I may not know the language, the language that they speak, but I could feel the vibe. Black music to me is roots. It's soul. It's something inside of us that, like, it's not taught. Like, a lot of it is not taught. I know a lot of people that, in Trinidad, all over, any country, haven't been to any music school, anything like that, but they can go and play this. It's just a feel. Black music is just, to me, like I said, it's a feel, it's a culture, and it's all one. It all comes from one thing back in Africa, and there's just different branches. If you listen to all kinds of black music, you can bring it back to this one. You can put this piece into that piece into that, and it will all link up. That's black music to me.
That's awesome. You mentioned the music industry, and I want to get into that a little bit more, just in terms of some of what you've said. Could you speak more to that experience, and your perspective on the industry and its commodification of black music and its treatment of black artists?
I have a lot to say about that. So, there's so many different angles to this. So let's start with the financial part. First of all, obviously, a lot of us don't have that financial backing that other people do. So today in music, a lot of things are paid for. They pay for, just being on Spotify, plays, all that type of stuff. Getting into venues, or maybe it's a link. It's really hard. Like, let me give you an example. There's certain venues that for years I've been, I contact them, I send them emails, nothing. Not even the respect of a reply back. And, we are out there, they see us, we're playing. I had one person that was white contact this venue, and immediately we get a reply to them, so we got to go through them to get the gig, So there's that, that's another angle to it. And then it's like, okay, we're from the islands. There's a lot of island nights, Caribbean nights. You go, there's no one from the islands or no one from the Caribbean. You know, and there's so many excellent bands and groups and musicians of Caribbean people around, but they can't get into those things because they don't have the links and they don't have that, you know. And pretty much, it's sad to say, but in this, I feel like it's actually gotten worse. I think it was, you know, back in the day, like if you went to a reggae night, you would be assured that it was a Caribbean, you know, black people, it was a reggae night. Or if it was, you know, I'm not saying that, don't get me wrong, music is a universal language. I have no problem. There's people in my band that are white. You know, I've had white friends all over. I have not prejudice. I'm not racist. I love all races, colors, and creeds. But we have to make everything level for everyone. It has to be level for everyone. You can't try to, it's a lot of times they are directly pushing you down because they know if you get into this place, people are gonna, you know, people are gonna really love this one. So we can't let them get into that venue, you know. So, and that's really is very, very, very prevalent. You look at, there's a lot of reggae fests around. You look at the reggae fest. What do you see? What do you see on some of these? Do you see any bands from the Caribbean or Jamaica or Africa or any, you know, black, some, it's hard to find. And then what they do is sometimes they will put the, you'll have like a big group like Steel Pulse way down in little letters, you know, or they might just have that because they, you know, they maybe want to get the Steel Pulse crowd, but it's way down and, you know, and then the rest is like, who is this? Like, I've never heard of these people, you know. And it's like, you got to give, you can't, that's just the same as like, you know, I don't want to get political, but it's the same as like repressing voting rights or anything like that. Or like, you can't just, you know, you have to make it level. Like, if someone's good, let them go ahead and be good and do their thing. Like, you can't just say, oh, okay, it's got to be this. It's like a group of people. They have it's like a group. And this circle is going to get into this place. And only these people are going to play in this venue. We're not going to have anything else. I don't care what you try, where you've been, who you've played for, what you did. No, you're not getting in there. You know, and that's, you know, it's a bad thing. And then on the other side, we have to kind of blame ourselves for some things too, you know, because sometimes we don't support each other like we should. Like, you know, we have a show, live music, we need to come out and support that. We need to come out and support artists and musicians. We need to come together because unity is strength. And that's how other people, you know, we can't, you know, like, you know, was this big controversy about the Grammy with Soulja, but their people all came together and bought their album. So it's just a, you know, we have to also come together. We have to take responsibility for our faults in not, you know, getting certain places in the industry or not being able to do. We can do it. We can definitely do it. We have the might. We have the music, you know, we have the soul, we have it all. We can do it just like them. And we're not trying to exclude anyone. We can all do it. There's so much music all around. Like, there's shows everywhere. There's festivals everywhere. There's enough for everyone. You know, it's just like, you can't just try to keep this person out and keep, you know, and that works both ways. We got to all try to come together and just, you know, you can't just try to keep this group out because you think they might be better than you or they might. Because how is that helping you? You want to get better, so yeah, welcome the competition. Welcome, you know what I mean? And as far as like support, like we as black people, we have to support each other. Like that's the main thing I feel that's keeping us back in this music industry, is that we are not supporting each other like we should. You know, we have to really show that support and come together. And once we do that, there's nothing that can stop us.
Thank you for that. You touched on a lot of things. I think that we actually talk about in this course, which is, you know, one on the cultural appropriation that you know, seeing. And one follow-up question I had about that was, I mean, we're here in Boston, so I take it that, well, but you have a global experience because you perform a lot of places. But can you speak to the Boston context of making music, or is that what you have you been
Boston
speaking to?
context as far as black music, venues, and all that type of stuff?
Or even historically, just kind of what...
Historically, it's always been like that. Think about it. Like, I mean, okay, so back when you had, let's go to different genres. When you had the New Edition, then, you know, oh my goodness, New Kids on the Block, right? They were all from, you know, but the whole, it was New Kids on the Block, and New Editions they were the bad guys. Bobby Brown was bad. This one was bad. This one, a lot of them did other stuff too, but, you know. And let's go more locally. Let's go with the reggae. It's mainly been like from way back. It's been mostly white-led bands that have been getting major shows. If you think about it, you know, there's a couple of black bands here and there. You know, people might get mad at me, but think about back the Itals, Dub Station, Hot Like Fire. They've all been white-led bands. And at those times when those bands were around, there were plenty of, you know, John I's been around for long, Dis-N-Dat band. There's been so many bands that have been, you know, coming here and there, but we just couldn't get into certain venues. You know, and back then it wasn't like now where you send out I remember like having stacks of manila envelopes with the picture, the bio, and your cassette tape, and you had to go drop it off at the different place, all the way to New York, dropping off stuff, and you don't know if these people are gonna really hire you. You know, it was really, really hard. And one of the people that I think helped getting black music as far as reggae going and getting, you know, more shows and stuff was Marvin Gilmore, Western Front, and then Rhythm and Spice. You know, but you know they went out of business after a while. But you know because mainly in the urban in Boston, like Dorchester, Roxbury, Mattapan, it's mainly like a DJ culture. You know, not too much live music, and that's what we need to fix, because there's so many great musicians and within that area. If they were to come together and start, you know, nothing against DJs. Yeah, we love the DJs too, but you got to support the live, you know, the live bands too. So ties in with the whole support thing. We can't. It's like Boston to me is a clique town. This group here, that group here, that group here, that group here. What if all those groups came together? You know how much power there would be? You know, and that's a big problem in Boston, is the cliques, this one, you know. And then meanwhile, the other people, they're all organized. And you see, when there's a, you know, reggae night or a reggae festival or something, there's all the same, or certain venues, I would say, not so much festivals, the same circle of bands play there all the time. You know, I gotta say, I gotta give it up to some of the festivals in New England lately. I would say maybe Massachusetts, Maine, have been putting in more of the black music, you know what I mean, mixing it up. You gotta mix it up. Yeah, we live in America, so there's white people that play, there's Italians, Syrians, you know, reggae music. It's all over the world. But you know, we can't like dismiss where it came from. We can't we got to show respect and give those people theirs as well. We got, you know, you can't just like, okay, this is my, you know, it's not like that. You know, it's a worldwide, the whole theme and vibe of our music, I feel like, is unity and gathering. When black people play drums and music is all a gathering. Like it's it's like so it has to be that same vibe has to be maintained.
Mm-hmm.
In order to keep it going. And we got to realize that for ourselves too.
Right.
We got to go back to that. Like we got to, village got to come together.
Right.
Yeah.
You made me think when you were mentioning Dorchester and Roxbury and the fact that what the problem that's to be fixed, right?
Yeah.
And that makes me think about the connection with education, right? Because a lot of the music got taken out of the schools.
Yeah.
And you mentioned also in your introduction that you do teach, and so
Yeah.
what role do you think education plays in that whole process?
A major role. I think that there are music courses and some other courses. I think that we need to teach music business courses, and just general entertainment. Besides the music, like the entertainment business itself, and I think that plays a big role. And also too, when we have the music classes and stuff like that, it really helps with discipline because being a musician and playing an instrument takes a lot of discipline. So that helps them, the young people. That some people they might have been out on the street getting into some criminal thing, but they're practicing their instrument. They're in the studio making a beat. They're writing lyrics to what I mean. That helps so much. Like when they have, because they have it in them. But when they have somewhere where they can get it out and like refine it, and I think that would really help. And when we educate them from young about networking is a big thing that we have to get into. Networking and not making it so much. Yes, music is competitive. But not making it such a personal competitive thing. Like I don't like this guy because what I mean. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna really make this nice song because what I mean. I want my beat to be better than his. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I want but not just like hating a person because what I mean. We have to really incorporate that too because that's a big thing too. Like. We got to learn how to really just love each other, like show that love and appreciation for each other's art and what other people do, and be able to compliment them, and and also other people need to be able to take criticism, so we got to teach that too, like from young, when they learn about taking, just working together with people, and it's not making it so much always a competition. I think that is a thing that really holds a lot of us back. Like, you spend so much time making it a competition. Like, when you can be just working together to, make it a better thing, instead of a personal competition between each other. I think that's the thing. And that's in us. We can't help that. Because this goes back to what I was talking about back home with the steel band, like how it started. It was like rival, even to this day. Like, they're everyone's friendly now, but back then when it started, it really was like gang warfare, but musical gang warfare. But it would turn into actual fights with bands. Like, that's a thing that we gotta really come away from. We gotta be able to uplift each other. That's a problem that I think we have. Like, we need to really be able to uplift each other and take from like you see, oh that was really good, yeah, can you maybe tell me how to do, what I mean, like work together in that way. I think if we do that and we come together, we could do so much. Like, we could do so much because we have the music in us. It's just the mentality needs to be changed.
Great. Well, Sista D, thank you so much for granting this interview and sharing your story with us, and your wisdom. Are there any final thoughts that you would like to leave us with?
Well, like I was saying, I love music. I feel like music is universal, and I want to share my music with everyone, but I'm especially proud of my culture, and I want to keep hold of my culture, and I urge all black people to study your culture, whether you know, it's America, you don't know where you're, you know, if you're born American, if you study your culture. We have so much rich culture. We really need to study it and go back and see how great and what greatness we came from, and how our music has just spread all over the world and mixed into, you know, made it what it is today. So that I have to say, and to women, I gotta say, if you're in the music business, keep going, keep doing your thing. You could be just as good as any guy. You know, you can do just the same thing. Don't feel intimidated. You may be called names or have to do extra, but do what you have to do to get where you're going. And people will respect you once they realize, you know, that okay, yeah, she's not going away. She's gonna just keep doing this. People respect you because, you know, I have no problems getting people that I work with are very respectful, you know, and I feel, you know, we've come a long way as women and black music, but we still got a really long way to go as far as black music goes and black culture. We really got to study and really work on just keeping it together. If we just do that, that's the one thing we have problem with. If we just keep it together, we could conquer the world. Yeah.